Hi. I want to start getting into a little bit different area overall, and that's different wine regions around the world. Not necessarily just countries, but primarily countries. And within those countries, and some of them will break down into more specific areas. So today I just want to kind of give you an overview of the major wine regions, and this is by no means an all-inclusive list, but I'm just going to touch on them. Got some notes I'm going to refer to here, so not looking away from you. But let's get started here. We're just going to kind of go through a list, mostly by country, and then we'll break it down a little bit more if needed. Okay, let's start out with Europe in general, and of course this is the big wine region. Number one worldwide for wine production is France. France has some wonderful wines that come out of it. It's got some great regions, and definitely we'll be devoting more videos in the future to those regions in France. Followed very closely in volume by Spain, which is a big producer, has some wonderful, wonderful wines. One of my current favorites, current favorite countries right now is Spain. We also have Italy. Let's back up a bit. I'm getting out of order here. Back to France. I'm going to talk just real briefly about some of the wines and regions. Bordeaux is a big one in France, and this is kind of your classic wines. This is the industry standard, you might say. The main grapes that you find in France, as well as most of Europe, are from the Vitis vinifera family. That's the Latin name for it. And this is where you really, in a sense, not biologically originated, but this is kind of where the wines originated. It was in France, and Bordeaux region in particular. You have your really well-known ones, Sauvignon Blanc. I'm going blank here. Oh yeah, Merlot. All these wonderful wines. France also is a big producer of Chardonnay for those who like the whites, and along with a lot of others. We'll talk about those as we get to them. But next, let's move into Spain. Now, one of the big ones that you find in Spain is the Tempranillo grape, and this is in the Rioja region primarily, but they do have a lot of other grapes that are much less well known. They are also growing Cabernet, can't say that word, Cabernet Sauvignon. See, even I get tripped up on these sometimes. So there's a lot of blending of Cabernet Sauvignon and Tempranillo going on. There's some other grapes that fit into that, the Grenache or Grenache in Spain. Same grape, slightly different name. Moving from there into Italy, another huge producer. It's most people are familiar with the Tuscany region. This is where you get your Chiantis from. There's a lot of other wine regions in Italy that we have to talk about in the future. And they have some great white wines as well. Now, rounding out the big four in wine production, the France, Spain, Italy are three of those four. The fourth one is the U.S. Now, I'm going to skip that just for the moment, because I want to touch on one more in Europe, and that's Germany. Germany is not the biggest wine producer, but they do produce some really interesting, good wines. They've been kind of held back in recent years because they got to be known for their sweet white wines. But they have some wonderful dry wines. Their red wines I don't particularly care for. You might, but give them a try. And definitely they have some good sweet wines. So let's move on to the U.S. now, the United States. There's two big regions, what I call big regions for wine production, even though wine is produced in, I think, 48 of the 50 states. Alaska doesn't do any of its own production. I'm not sure what the other one is right offhand. Now, that's not to say they're all good wine producers or, high volume wine producers, and the quality varies from one place to the next. But the two main ones in the U.S. are what I would lump together calling Pacific Northwest, which would be Washington and Oregon. They are very similar in their wine characteristics and what they grow. And then California, mostly in the northern part or around San Francisco area, north and south of San Francisco. Those are your two main areas in the United States. Now we move on to South America. Now, South America has a number of countries, of course, but two wine-producing countries, Chile and Argentina. Now, both can produce some excellent wines. And again, we'll have to talk about those in their own videos, but in particular, Argentina is known for its Malbecs, M-A-L-B-E-C. Of course, I'll put that up for you to look at. And if you get a Malbec, chances are it's going to be from Argentina. And they are some wonderful wines. I really enjoy them a lot myself. Okay, now moving on to staying in the southern hemisphere, but moving around a bit, Australia. Now, Australia is a big wine producer. I don't know where they rank in world volume, but They have everything from your cheap table wines to your high-end wines, and they're kind of all over the place in between. Really good stuff. Probably they're best known for their Shiraz, and that's the one. If you want a Shiraz, that's where I would go for one. You also have, not too far away from there, New Zealand. Now, New Zealand is a little island country, and it's pretty far south in the latitudes, which means it's a colder climate. But they do some phenomenal Sauvignon Blanc. In fact, that's kind of the world standard, is, in my opinion, is the New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs. They're also getting some good Pinot Noir coming out of there, so two things to look for out of New Zealand. Finally, in the Southern Hemisphere, we also have very underrated but very interesting wines, South Africa. Now, they have one in particular. It's kind of unique to South Africa. It's called Pinotage. It's a custom blend. Custom, what am I looking for? It's a varietal hybrid that was developed just for that country to fit its climate and growing conditions much better than some of the other pre-existing ones. But they also have some of the more well-knowns, the Cabernet Sauvignon, for example, along with others. So here's some of your major wine regions that we'll be talking about individually as time goes on. We'll kind of devote one or more videos to each one of those. So if you've got another wine region you're interested in hearing about, let me know in the comments. Right down there underneath this, unless you've got it expanded, when you shrink it back down, drop down that bar, you can give me some nice little comments. You also have the thumbs up, which is that corner? Yeah, I think it's that corner. Anyway, give me a thumbs up, give me some comments, let me know what you think of these videos. If you have friends that are interested in wine, definitely let them know about this channel too. In the meantime, cheers, enjoy your wine.